So I think this is a good chance to talk a little bit about what I think about the MECHLAB. Baradul said in his recent video that he didn't particularly like it, thought it was a little tweaky. I'm actually of the opposite opinion, that I think that they've done something a little bit clever here, so let's actually edit the loadout on this atlas. So when you first come in here, you can see that you've got a sort of summary view and a detail view of the MECHLAB. Baradul seemed to not really like that as much. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but watch his video and get his reaction directly from him. I actually kind of like this because I believe that it is non-intimidating for a beginner. They can go in here and they can say, oh, well, I can just swap around lasers or swap around autocannons or something, and they don't get the big intimidation of seeing the whole MECHLAB. I think people like me who have played MWO for years and years forget how intimidating the whole MECHLAB can be. So this summary view, I think, is actually useful for getting new people in the door. And if PGI intended that, then great, bravo, you've done something clever. If PGI didn't intend it to work that way, then I don't know why they put the feature in here, but whatever. I've been experimenting with this Boar's Head build a little bit. I generally tend to find that I prefer cooling, so I'm actually going to dump one of these lasers. That gives me 2 tons to play with, and I can put some more heat sinks in here. Also, Lerms on an Atlas, no matter how useful it is in this game to take down vehicles and turrets, it just ticks me off. So I'm going to run with my emotional reaction and just dump this Lerm and put something else in here, an SRM-6. Another thing that does bug me about the builds that we see in MW5, in the demo at least, is that I feel like all of them are a little bit under-armored. The first thing I do pretty much when I get in the MECHLAB is I do max armor. And I may go back and pull a little armor off the head. Like, I haven't found the AI is good enough to really shoot you in the head, so I generally tend to go all the way down to 15 on this, and the 30 total points of armor and structure tends to be enough in my opinion. Also, you can see that we've got basically 100 on the front and 30 on the back, which in my opinion is a big problem with all these builds. They all have way too much back armor. So I always bring this down to something a lot smaller. Maybe this is just the MWO experience in me, but I, generally speaking, don't have trouble most of the time keeping my front towards the enemy. So I'm going to bring this way down. I don't know, there's this hold shift to decrement by 5 thing. When I hold down shift first, and then click, oh, hey, that didn't work last time I tried this, so I'm glad that actually worked now. Okay. I don't think that got fixed overnight. It must have been something that happened, I don't know. Anyway, it didn't work yesterday, but it's working now, and that's great. So I'm very happy about that. So 10 should be plenty, and then we'll throw the rest of this on the front. And then on the rear sides, I think 9 is going to be enough. Actually, let's do 8. Okay. Good deal. I think these legs are a little over-armored. I don't think you need that much. I'm going to go down to 75 on both of these. And I probably will go down 1 more on the head just to get to that 91 tons. I've been trying to decide whether I like burst fire or regular autocannons better. I don't really feel like I have a big preference. I do like the higher rate of fire on the BFs, and since you're really only paying a penalty, well, you're paying less of a penalty in heat, so never mind. I think I'm just going with the burst fire on this guy. Another thing that I really hate about, not the MECHLAB, but the builds themselves, is I think that they have a tendency to put heat sinks in the legs and ammo in the torsos, and that is just completely against my habits in MWO. Since almost everything is a standard engine, you might argue that there's some merit to doing that, but it just goes against my grain, and so I just don't do things that way. Let's see. I'm going to put the 1 ton of SRM ammo for the SRM in the head, so I'm just going to try and crit pad the legs a little bit and put the ammo in here. I might want to think about another ton of AC ammo. I think the AC ammo is 40 rounds per ton, so this is 80 shots. On a longer mission, I'm not sure that's going to be enough. So this may be a contributing factor to me not doing well in the upcoming game, but I guess we'll see. One thing that is a little weird to me about the MECHLAB is you can see they've got AMS, and then they have equipment. So I always thought of AMS as a piece of equipment, and then in the equipment they've got ammo, whereas I've always thought of ammo as a separate thing from equipment and AMS. So if it were me, I would probably say make equipment just be equipment, including AMS, or maybe you want to call AMS a ballistic weapon, and then use what is currently AMS for ammo, and have all your ammo in here. I don't know why I feel that way, probably just duckling syndrome from MWO, because that's the way MWO does it. But the first time I went into this MECHLAB, I didn't really feel like I could figure out where the ammo is. I was like, where's the ammo? I put these weapons in, where's the ammo? You know, equipment is not ammo, so where's the ammo? So I just had to search through exhaustively to find it. Maybe that's just me. I hope PGI has done playtesting with actual people and that they've gotten some kind of feedback like this before. If I'm the first one to say it, then oh boy. Anyway, back on task. Let's get that SRM in there. I don't think the accuracy boost of Artemis is going to be worth it in this case. And it doesn't give me a better rate of fire either, so I'm just going to go with the regular SRM-6. I mean, I'm not exactly short on tonnage, but... And we'll put the SRM ammo in the head. Okay. 2 per second. So I've been trying to get a feel for these cooling numbers. I really have not been able to do it. One thing that I do want to say as part of my feedback is I really do think that you need something like a testing grounds in order to test your mech and see what the heat is like. Because every time I've tried to sort of predict what this number is going to equal in terms of how often I can fire my weapons, do I overheat, I've been wrong. And maybe I just have reflexes wired for MWO, but I feel like the only way that I can actually know what my cooling number should be is by testing it. And I have tested the Atlas, and I do feel like about 2.4 is about right. So I'm going to try and throw some more heat sinks in here. And if I can get this to 2.4 and I still have tonnage, I might throw another ton of ammo. But for the moment, let's just put heat sinks in. So there's 2.4 and I have 1 ton. How convenient. Let's do 1 more ton of AC ammo. And I don't know what the ammo feeding order is, but the 124 CT armor seems like a good bet to me. Hopefully this ammo bin will drain first and then the other 2, and this ammo will be long gone before anybody has a chance to get through my armor. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that build. We'll talk a little bit about weapon grouping. Well, why not do it now? One problem that a lot of people have had that I've seen posted in the Discord is you can't seem to assign your middle mouse button scroll wheel click as weapon group 3 fire. When you try to do this, it just says, oh, well, one of 2 things. The first time you try to do it, it doesn't show it. Why don't I just show you? Let's apply this and save it. Okay. Oh, I thought I could hit escape here. Oh, fucking hell. If I exit to the menu, I think I lose that build that I just saved. Because this thing doesn't seem to save builds. The demo version does. I don't know about the full game. I'm just saying the demo version doesn't seem to save builds. And I don't feel like going through all of that again, so... I think you're just going to have to, unfortunately, I don't like to do this, but unfortunately you are going to have to either decide to believe me or not believe me when I tell you that at least yesterday, maybe there was a patch, but as of yesterday, I could not assign my mouse wheel click to Fire Group 3. And for reasons that we'll get into when I talk about Lance Command, I don't want to use my shoulder buttons for group 3 either. Anyway, there's the Atlas build. That's fine. Normally I would make that group 3, and maybe I still will. Let's take a look. So my right torso is my... And so I'm going to make my right click be, or group number 2, be the autocannon. And I'm going to put all my lasers on click 1. And 3, I will have to actually reach up with my middle finger off the movement controls to type 3, which I hate, but until they fix the demo so that I can use my mouse middle scroll wheel click to be group number 3, that is what I am stuck with. Okay, save that. I do. I think when you... Yeah. I don't really like the sort of overly... I feel it's patronizing. The thing where, like, I intentionally hit the save button, and then it comes up with a dialogue saying, do you want to save? And I click, yes, I fucking want to save, goddammit. And then it comes up with another dialogue saying, are you absolutely sure you want to... Fuck you. One prompt is enough. If I made a mistake clicking the button, the first prompt will fix it. Don't prompt me a second time. Rant over. Okay. And let's add another one here. And I actually saw Baradul put up a... God, why am I blanking on the name? I had caffeine today, too. Mauler. Baradul put up a Mauler build that I thought looked kind of interesting. So I'm going to look for the Mauler. Let's just limit ourselves to assaults. Trying to remember which Mauler he put up. I think it was the Hero Mauler, the Knockout. Now, I'm not going to be driving this, but what I have found by bringing along catapults in my Lance is that catapults with SRM or with LRM launchers are actually pretty good in this game because of the number of small tanks, turrets, helicopters, things of that nature. It really is useful to have LRM support, unlike in MWO where you actually have to be pretty skillful to use LRMs well. In this game, just having LRMs along and letting the AI shoot down things with LRMs is really useful. So I'm pretty happy about the LRM 20s on this guy. I think I'm not going to give him ER lasers, I'm just going to give him large lasers since I think the range synergy would be better between large lasers and ERs, and it'll save a little heat. So let's just do large lasers here. And then I'll pop into the detail view and maybe take a look at the armor, which I can't really buff the armor without giving something up here. There's only 1 ton of LRM ammo, which doesn't... Well, numbers are different in here. That's 440 rounds, which is 10 pulls of the trigger for each of these. I think I'm going into a hard mission. I'm probably going to want more ammo. So what, if anything, can I give up? Maybe if I make these 15s instead? Let's do that. Now, if it were me, I would probably want to put Artemis LRMs in here, but if this is just the computer doing it, then probably not so big a deal. And even if I did do Artemis LRMs, that's 8 tons, versus a regular LRM 20 without Artemis is 10 tons. So I'm still saving 4 tons just by... In fact, nah, it's not worth it. So, let's do another ton of LRM ammo. Well, first let's max armor. Of course, the head doesn't need that much armor. I'm going to go just under the ton over here. And then let's... I'm going to bring the legs down a little bit, as I don't expect this guy to be super tanky. .39 rear armor. You really got to ask, not just what was PGI thinking, but were they thinking? Even a rank newbie doesn't need a 60-40 front-rear armor distribution. Okay. So that gives us approximately 4 tons to play with, 3.5. I don't really want to give the CPU more heat efficiency because I don't really feel like they need it. They manage their heat more than well enough. So, well, first things, let's just put some stuff in the legs because, you know, we really don't need. And let's put the LRM ammo in the CT, well, in the head. That's the obvious place. And I think I'm happy enough with that. I probably should look more closely at the heat numbers, but I'm not going to. Okay. I'm getting a little antsy of doing mech builds. I kind of want to get into the action and get my ass kicked. So I may just start using stock builds. And just bring along some silly shit. I wonder what the... This guy's got a lot of lasers. Streaks. That's tempting. Streaks should be better because of the presence of so many little ground vehicles and such. I kind of like this. Let's go ahead and use that. So I recall, we should still have another 100 tons to play with. So maybe I'll just do another Atlas. What does the Kraken have? ER laser, Gauss, LRM-20, medium laser. Alright, what the hell. Alright, well I think that concludes the MECHLAB portion, so I'm gonna cut off the MECHLAB here, and there should be a separate video with the gameplay. If you guys have any strong opinions about the MECHLAB, I'd kind of like to know what you think, so drop a comment. I'm probably, again, just like it was with the bounce thing, I'm probably in the minority of thinking that the new MECHLAB is actually decent. So, again, tell me what you think. I'm curious to know. There is one thing I do need to talk about. A correction. So I said when I was working on the Cicada that you couldn't really swap weapons into different size hardpoints, but that's not true. The rule, and I think this is what PGI said exactly, if PGI didn't say exactly this, then correct me, the rule is that you can only put a same size or smaller weapon in a hardpoint. So if you had a medium hardpoint here, that's a medium energy hardpoint, you can only put medium or small in that. Whereas with a large energy hardpoint, you could put a large or a medium or a small weapon. And of course, a small weapon hardpoint, you could only put a small weapon in. So basically, you can only downgrade in size terms and not upgrade or put bigger weapons in a smaller hardpoint. Just wanted to correct that because that is something that I said in a previous video that was inaccurate, and I want the things that I tell you to be accurate because I don't think you can accurately judge this game if you don't have accurate information. So thanks to the people in YouTube comments who corrected me on that one, or thanks to the one person, I think it was just one person who said it. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. Yeah, so that correction having been said, I am going to cut the MECHLAB footage here, and we will go into action.